Okay, so everybody, joining you from Carlo here, and on a very different episode of the Bootcast podcast today, with the whole coronavirus and COVID-19 going on. Everybody is feeling overwhelmed and they're looking for respite and things to do, and it's a challenging time for everybody. But joining me today anyway is Mr. Brian Bateson. Brian, thanks for coming on the Bootcast.
No worries, good to be here.
Cheers. So Brian, tell us a bit about yourself and what's your story? What do you do and where you're from and stuff?
I'm from Kildare, but I now live in Clare in Lahinch. Moved down here about 9 years ago now, I guess, and met a local girl. She's from here, obviously, so we kind of set up camp here. Bought a house here last year, so foreseeable future. I'm self-employed. I'm a mountain leader, mountaineering instructor, rock climbing instructor. There's a few different aspects to my job. I lead foreign expeditions for an Irish company called Art's Edge, so I do quite a few of them. For a living, I spend my time teaching or guiding out on the hills and the cliffs of Ireland and abroad.
Very good. Brilliant. So it's very... you're a very apt guest to have on at the moment. People are trying to climb their own cliffs or mountains at the moment with all of this COVID-19 badness, and there's concern, there's worry. So it's brilliant to have you on, because I'm sure people can learn something from this episode. First question, I just launch straight into it. So what's your favorite story to tell?
Obviously I like telling stories. Anyone that knows me, probably the one maybe that brought our attentions together might have been a post I put up recently on Instagram. I worked in a bank the best part of a decade, and then on my 30th birthday, kind of seems like a bit of a cliche, but on my 30th birthday I went for a surf in Lahinch, probably wasn't very good at surfing. Definitely wasn't very good at surfing before then, but I did a lesson with a person who's now a good friend of mine, Ben. I stood up on the board and I cut a few times and rode a few waves, and almost like an epiphany, on the drive back to Kildare that evening. I remember pulling the car over and just stopping the car and thinking about it for a long time, going, geez, something has to change, like in my life. I was pretty unhappy at the time. I probably had a lot of depression in my late 20s, definitely affecting me mentally. And I was really looking for a big change, or a positive change, or a complete change. I remember that when I was a teenager, I wanted to be an outdoor activity instructor. That was kind of like the mid-90s in Kildare. There was no avenue to go down. There was no friend or mentor you could ask, but in the back of my mind, I was always into that sort of kayaking, surfing, hiking, climbing sort of style sports. From when I was a teenager, we used to go to Achill Outdoor Education Centre up on like school tours, and then I went there twice on my own holidays during the summer. So I was really interested in that sort of stuff, and really wanted, I was inspired by TV programs about that kind of a way of life. But then really nothing with it for my entire 20s, or late teens or entire 20s. I was actually quite into photography, and I remember leaving the bank, or handing the notice in to the bank, and my entire plan was based around becoming a photographer, which I did try to go down that road, but to be honest, I think my brother said it to me before I left the bank, that the photography was probably just an escape plan, and that to prepare myself for, once I got out, that I might actually not have any interest in doing it for a living, and that's exactly how it turned out to be. So I kind of didn't have any interest in doing it for a living, and I moved to London to a different brother, and I was working with him. He's a builder, and I was working with him and sleeping on his floor, and just looking for something different, looking for a bit of a spark. But my mind kept coming back to surfing in Lahinch, and that, like, long story short, it sort of prompted me to come back from London to Ireland to try and get back into the sort of more outdoorsy lifestyle. I started rock climbing again. I'd done a little bit when I was a teenager, but I started rock climbing again, started surfing. And that ultimately led me to go back to college to become an outdoor instructor. So it's kind of an abridged version of what happened over the course of about 1 year. Yeah.
Brilliant. So that all happened within a year, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And from doing that, like from kind of making that decision to leave, the banking or the corporate life and to venture out on your own, like there's a lot of uncertainty with that, and there's a lot of challenges mentally and kind of figuring all that out. So what did you kind of learn about yourself from the process?
Yeah, definitely. There's so much uncertainty when, like, I'm going from something secure and pensionable, a job in a bank, and I would probably have been on a fairly decent wage, and I used to think, what can I do in life that's going to pay me this sort of reasonable wage, thinking that this was the wage I needed to live off. So the first thing probably was realizing that I didn't need very much money to get by at the time that I was single. I had no dependents, no mortgage, and I only needed what I needed to just get by from day to day. So that was really important when I went to London. I worked for my brother, like I said, but not every week I'd get a full week's work. Sometimes I might get 2-3 days a week. But he paid me reasonably well. But at the same time, I didn't need very much money because I was paying him a small amount of rent. And then I just wanted all this free time, or he was giving me this free time to try to figure my head out. About weeks ago, I started cycling around London, started going to indoor rock climbing gym. So I started just doing things that made me more fulfilled for the sake of doing them. The whole process then, I guess, made me a lot more resilient. I found out I was quite resilient as a person, quite strong, because, obviously money is important. You want that security blanket of having money. And I was having that security blanket. Now all of a sudden I didn't. So you would just have to be tough and resilient at times. But I found the kind of new life of uncertainty kind of suited me a little bit. I didn't like routine so much, and this lack of routine was suiting me. And my brother, I can't thank him enough. He gave me a lot of time to sort my own head out in terms of gave me work when I needed it, and he gave me somewhere to stay and fed me, kind of bought me a few pints. But yeah, ultimately, I just gave me some time to figure my head out, which is great.
Brilliant. And just on that, I suppose, so can you name one time in your life where you really struggled mentally with something, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, definitely my late 20s. I don't know what name you put on it, but like I guess depression would be one name. Maybe lack of fulfillment, or I don't know, but it was bad enough that it would shut me down and leave me kind of feeling sort of hollow and empty. So it was whatever it was happening. It was a fairly debilitating thing to happen at the time. I wouldn't say I was functioning very well. Maybe on the outside I was, but inside I wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been functioning very well. And I'd say that's true for a lot of people. You never really know what people are going through. I shouldn't assume that you know what people are going through in their lives. So, around about that time, just remember feeling trapped. That my decisions in life up to then had me trapped, and that, like, at 30 years of age, I was too old to do anything about it. So I guess the one thing I learned from that was that you're never too late. Like, I turned 40 last month, and some of my plans are bigger and bolder than they've ever been. Just thinking that thinking that you're too late to try something new or too late to give it a go. Personally, I don't think you are. Obviously, people's circumstances might mean they don't have the freedom that I had at the time. But
and how did you? But how did you kind of get over that? Like, was there a kind of a turning point, or was there certain things you did to lift yourself?
Nearly immediately upon leaving from leaving the bank, like, just working up the courage to leave was massive. I spoke to my parents a lot at the time. Spoke to a lot of people, a lot of friends, family members. But like, once I worked up the courage to leave and walked out the door, I kind of like, there was a massive weight off my shoulders. So, it kind of seems like a first world problem. Yeah, it wasn't fulfilled and it was causing me angst. It just kind of seems a bit, selfish, but it was contributing to me not feeling great. So it was what it was. So I remember just the act of actually leaving it. If this thing was making me so unwell, then just get away from it. So that was one big thing. After that, then it was finding some sort of direction to go in. That was the big next obstacle. Like, well, now that I'm free of this thing that I felt was restricting me or putting me down, like what am I actually going to do with myself? It was like I kind of fell into that. Well, maybe I didn't fall into it by accident. I've always been interested in sort of outdoor or sort of adventure sports. So with a bit of freedom, mind, and of like free calendar, free time, I found myself drifting back to those things. I went to Morocco for 2 weeks surfing, maybe a month actually, probably a month, just before I came home to Ireland or trying to surf, and got back into rock climbing immediately upon coming back to Ireland, and just getting involved in these things that I was passionate about. Just really unlocked something in me, maybe a drive or a passion that I hadn't had for a long time, and I just kind of spurred me on to pick that ball up and run with it.
Good stuff. And then on the physical side, I suppose, what would be probably the biggest physical challenge you've done in life to date?
So they're all, the physical challenges are like, that was a bit of a shock. I'd spent, I guess, most of my 20s just going to a gym and, doing weights and doing a bit of cardio. So maybe my body was, maybe I was fooled into thinking I was in a condition where I could, I wouldn't struggle to pick up these sports. But there's a different type of fitness that comes along with every sport that you do. Like surfing is so tough. So endurance on your shoulders sometimes, and you're paddling. So tough on your forearms and your fingers, and your core, and then hill walking, mountaineering, so tough on your legs obviously, but also so tough on your mind, like just like trying to get your head around some of the things you do. Like working for Arts Edge, I've climbed Kilimanjaro 8 times.
Oh really?
Led groups for them 8 different times, and summit night never gets easier. It's a long night. That's maybe the first time I ever did that. It was pretty physical. Probably a big physical challenge because there's the fear of the unknown as well. Whereas every time I've done it since, it's been physical and tough, but like I knew I could do it. So that takes a little bit away. Maybe Island Peak. Yeah, Island Peak, quite tough. You're out in Nepal for quite a long time. You go to Everest Base Camp as a sort of a warm up, and then you spend another few days going to Kong and climbing Island Peak itself. So that was quite a tough ascent. But I was due before the outbreak of coronavirus. I was due to go to Elbrus in August with Arts Edge, leading a group, but I've not done Elbrus before, and I was kind of building that one up from what mates have told me that's quite tough. So
and so whereabouts is that, just for anybody who's not aware?
It's in Russia. I won't try to attempt to good version of the local town. Pyatrsk might be the way to say it. Might not. But near the Russian-Georgian border, and it's recognized as the highest mountain in Europe. If you include Russia in Europe, obviously Mont Blanc would be the highest mountain in Western Europe. But Elbrus is considered the highest in Europe and one of the 7 summits. But it's just got it's got a big summit night. It's quite a cold part of the world. A little bit more technical than a trek, I guess. You have crampons and ice axe. You're not rope. You're not like ascending on June Mars or leading anything on ice. But
Cool. interesting that you say that. One of my previous guests was Mark Pattison. He's a ex NFL player. He's climbing the 7 summits. He wants to be the first ex NFL or NFL player to climb the 7 summits. But he was due to do Everest. I think it was this week, maybe.
Obviously would have been going out for sure.
Yeah, so he's pretty disappointed with that.
I can imagine. Probably Damien Brown's in the same boat. I don't know if you know of Damien's story. He's ex-professional rugby player. He played for Leinster and Connacht. Yeah, he's been slowly ticking off the 7 summits. Not slow, sorry, he's been quickly ticking off. He's the exact opposite of slow. He's actually been flying through them. But he was due to go out to Everest around about now to start a trek in. He's going to attempt Everest summit this April, May.
Yeah. Everyone will get out there again.
Not going anywhere.
Just on the travel side, then, what would be your favorite country of the world and why?
Oh yeah, that's the beauty about the last 10 years. I would have traveled quite a lot in my 20s, but a very different style of traveling. Maybe a lot of backpacking city to city across Europe and America, trying to see cities. And then definitely in the last 10 years with my job, I've got to see the countryside in so many different countries. India absolutely blew my mind. New Delhi blew my mind for a different reason. When we arrived there, it's absolutely chaotic. And I've been used to quite a few chaotic cities like Kathmandu or Marrakesh. I've been used to a few chaotic cities. Geez, there's nowhere like New Delhi. Have you been?
No, I haven't been to India yet.
Yeah, it's something else. But from there, thankfully, we were only there for a short. I think everyone has seen one. But we headed up to Leh, which is up in the northern part of India, in the Jammu province or Jammu region, and we tried to do a mountain there called Stock Kangri, which is like a 6,200 meter mountain or thereabouts, just over 6,000 meters. Again, I was working for Arts Edge. So yeah, we met the most amazing people. The people in that corner are just so friendly. Such a nice way of life, such a nice people. Very like the Nepalese guys that I would have met on the travels I did there. Like, there's some really nice guys. So we tried to do a trek there, and like I remember the start of the trek, we walked for 3 days and we didn't meet any other people. Met a shepherd one night, actually. That was so. On a lot of these trails, you're used to meeting people like regularly along the trail and sharing base camps and tea houses with other groups. But we were just this sufficient group on our own for 3 days, and then we started to meet people the closer we got to the objective. Unfortunately, we never got to summit that on the day that we were supposed to attempt summit. There was like record snowfall for the region. There hadn't been that much snowfall in 20 years, and it was just completely unsafe.
Another curveball.
Yeah, it was too much snow. Like, we were anticipating some snow, but like this was too much snow too quickly. I think there was like 3 foot of snow at base camp overnight. Some pretty steep walls on the way to the summit, so it would have been very, very prone to avalanche. And it's the only time I've had to abandon a high altitude expedition because of something like that. I've summited every other time I've run an expedition, so it was tough for me. But like, obviously, I probably have a chance of getting back out again for work, but it'd be a lot tougher for the clients who may or may never choose to go back out there. But up to that point, it was that was pretty heartbreaking. But up to that point, it was one of the best trips I've ever been on, and a really beautiful part of the world. And then Kenya. I've been to Tanzania quite a lot, and I really enjoy going to Tanzania, meeting the guys the same guides that I would work with on Kilimanjaro. But I did one trip to Kenya, and that was just amazing. So close geographically, but very different country again. Some really nice people. Just a nice country to be in. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then just for relaxation, kind of more of a holiday, Thailand, maybe. Backpacking around Thailand with my girlfriend about 3 or 4 years ago, and I really enjoyed that. But that was wasn't work and wasn't hiking or climbing. It was just chilling out.
Yeah, Thailand's class. What would be a top tip for somebody on the fence about traveling to new lands or trying a new endeavor, whether that's physical like mountain climbing or whether it's like starting a new business or something? You know, they all have the common kind of trait of,
I guess do your research. Like if you're going to go to a new country and you're going to go independently, then you got to do your research. You got to find out, is it safe, or where are the safe places to be? What towns, you know, what town is worth seeing? Just because you've seen that name on a map before doesn't really make it a great place to go to. Maybe there's something interesting nearby that's way more worth going to. If you're gonna travel to some far-flung place and you're going to use a company to do that, if you weren't going to travel on your own, again, do your research. You know, there's sorts of companies out there providing all sorts of options, but like there are some that are good and there's some that are bad, and that's like any occupation in life. A little bit of research will tell you pretty quickly which are the good ones, and then the exact same for starting a business. You know, maybe not research as such, but like, you know, all think we have a great business idea, but if no one wants to buy that product, then you know, you can have all the ideas you want. You're sitting on your couch all day. If you're going to sell something, make sure it's something people want to buy.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
What's your favorite book? Are you into reading?
Yeah, I do. I read quite a lot, but for work, I have to upskill regularly and often. So I read quite a lot of climbing and mountaineering technical stuff. And then there's so many good books in that genre. But then I really like fiction. Like if I want to read a book, it's like, if I really want to enjoy a book, it's got to be about escapism. And I read a book called A Fraction of the Whole, WHOLE. And that was by an Australian author called Stephen Toltz. And that's really amazing. It's just from sentence one, it just blows you away, and you don't want to put it down. So
Brilliant.
Enjoyed that. Yeah.
Cool. Favorite quote?
A Shakespearean quote that comes to mind a lot, and it's, I have to slow down and think about it. It's our doubts are traitors, which make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. And I use it as a bit of a mantra. Like if I'm doing something pretty scary, obviously it's fairly self-descriptive. If you read it again, you know, it's, take the chance and go for it, really is what he's saying. But to think it out word for word, I have to slow my brain down. I really have to think about what the exact wording is. And I find I use it as a bit of a trick or a mantra whenever I'm doing something like maybe a rock climbing. Maybe I'm going rock climbing and I'm climbing something that's a bit scary for me. Or, when I tried to learn how to kayak, I used it quite a bit. I never really enjoyed kayaking as much as I would say surfing. I don't know, something about being trapped in the boat, or feeling trapped in the boat might made me a little bit more apprehensive doing a river run or something in rapids. So I used to use that quote quite a lot, and when I think it back and say it back to myself, it slows down my heart rate, but also reminds me that you can kind of go to this happy place and that you've been in these sort of fearful scenarios before, and if you make good decisions, if you slow down your heart rate and think logically, then you can work out how to do it. I kind of use that one a lot in rock climbing for sure, rather than panicking and trying to just like grab at the first big jug or rock climbing hole that comes your way. Just kind of see, is there a more balancey, easier way of doing it that maybe requires a bit more thought and slowing things down. So kind of has a few different, it works on a few different levels, I guess.
Two people who inspire you?
I've a lot of respect for women in mountaineering and climbing. I have a lot of respect for women in general, and I think that respect has to go most to my partner Sinead. Like she's allowed me to do this for a start. I was kind of on the journey to becoming an outdoor instructor when I met her, but I had no dreams of setting up my own business and nowhere near achieving, even thinking about anything like that. And she does quite a safe, solid job. And basically for the entire time that I've set up the business and tried to get more upskills, so I've ahead and try to get more and more qualified so I can be kind of at the top of the ladder rather than the sort of halfway up the ladder. So I've been really trying to push my upskilling and getting new qualifications all the time. For the whole time I was doing this and indulging my passion, she's the one that's kind of kept all the bills paid and kept things running smoothly. So definitely I couldn't have done any of this without her. She's kind of the one that keeps it all together.
Brilliant.
And so more this week. So again, this week I've had pretty much complete cancellations with all my business. So looking at least 2 to 3 months with no work. And it's not, easily, if not longer, who knows how long this is going to go on for, but it's her that kind of keeps the, she's the one that keeps the level head and, reassures me that we'll get through this, which, I always believe her and she always helps me come with Trump. So yeah, definitely she'd be a massive inspiration. And then my mum, both my parents, but, my dad passed away about 2 years ago, and me and my mum became quite close. I've got to know her in all different lights since. We've been getting on really well, chatting and talking a lot like we never did before. And, learned a bit more about her. And, she's a remarkable woman, and she's never been bored of life. She said it's one of her sayings. I've never been bored a day in her life. She just, she always keeps herself so busy and so positive. She's obviously self-isolating. She's 79. She's self-isolating at the moment for obvious reasons. She doesn't want to get. But every time I ring her on the phone, she's just super positive. Like she was born in World War II. She was born in halfway through in World War II, or even at the start of it. So I suppose she's, even though she was very young, she already lived through one big event in her life. You remember stories about the tea bags and stuff like that. So she's kind of got this just on with it attitude, no matter what the problem, she gets on with it, and keeps the best side out. So hopefully I've got some of that from her. Yeah.
Brilliant. It's something that a lot of people could take from this episode, I suppose, at the current current situation. So I suppose just before we wrap up, Brian, what's the best way for people to reach out to you and show support, and maybe book something for in the future, and in the hope that all of this blows over soon?
Yeah, my website is climbit.ie. I have to say that slowly in my thick Kildare accent. It sounds like climate change or some climate environmentalist, but climbit.ie. My Instagram page is just Brian_Bateson, Bateson. And then I have a Climbit Facebook page. So there are probably the 3 ways you can find me online. I was blown away this week. A regular client emailed me and wanted to know how I was getting on, which in itself was brilliant. But then I said, yeah, no, it's all good. We're doing fine. It's going to be out of work for a while, but we'll come out the far side, be stronger for it and all this. And then she emailed back. She replied, and she's like, okay, well, I want to book in for a course in probably October, November. It's just a specific course that we've been talking about her doing. And she offered to pay for it up front there and then.
Nice.
Which I thought, like, the kindness of that was really good. I said it was fine, that we'll wait till October, November, and run the course then. But just the kindness of people like that is really cool. Really, really keeps me motivated to keep going as well.
That's brilliant.
It's easy just to get the head, drop the head and sort of think, this is, there's no far side on this, but there's regular clients at the far side, which is great. So best way to support me probably is just to follow me online, and if you already do, that's great. If you don't, I'd appreciate a follow. And as soon as I'm up and running again, maybe book in for a course that you've been looking to do. Other than that, I think it's just, there's people a far lot worse off than me, and industries far greater affected than mine, or far more serious than mine. There's a lot of tourism here in Clare. So like I see friends who have restaurants, hotels, guest houses, and their cafes and pubs. and they're completely shut, and they've got massive overheads, massive amount of staff. The Armada in Spanish Point, just to think of one. Probably somebody to be on your radar is the guy that owns it is John Burke. He climbed Everest 4 years ago, so maybe he's a person that's on your radar. But just to think of him, he's got a huge staff, probably over 100 staff, and you're kind of thinking of the overheads that they must have. So there's definitely people far worse off than me. I'm very low overheads. I've got some savings, and through Sinead, there's an income coming into the house. So we can we'll obviously do all right, I think, to get through the other side. Hopefully everyone can as well. So maybe support those businesses before you support me. I think be a kind gesture, because they probably need the business more than I do for now. Yeah.
Good stuff. Fair play, Brian. So thanks a million for coming on the Bootcast, Brian, and best of luck, and hopefully we get you up and running again very soon.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah,
I'll book in a course or a climb with you soon as well myself.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Cheers, Brian. All the best.
Bye. All right. Bye. No worries. Cheers. Bye.